So I did something stupid. Not like accidentally deleted a file stupid, more like I spun up a virtual machine, threw away Windows inside it, and decided to install one of the hardest versions of Linux there is, with zero experience, at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. And yes, virtual machine. I'm not completely unhinged. It's basically a fake computer that lives inside your real computer. So when I inevitably broke everything, my actual laptop survived. But honestly, it didn't feel safe. Arch doesn't care that it's virtual. The black screen doesn't care. The commands that make no sense don't care. Anyway, it started because of YouTube. I kept getting these videos, guys with mechanical keyboards and way too much confidence telling me Linux was the future and Windows was basically a virus. And eventually, I just believed them. So I Googled how to install Arch Linux, and the first result was a Wikipedia article. That was my first warning sign. I ignored it. What followed was 3 hours of me staring at a black screen with white text, Googling things I didn't understand, and at one point accidentally typing a command that I still don't fully know what it did. But here's the thing. It worked. Kinda. Eventually. And I'm going to show you exactly what happened, what broke, what I had to fix, and whether this whole thing was actually worth it. Let's go.
So, first things first, I needed VirtualBox. Free, been around forever, approximately every Linux tutorial on YouTube assumes you already have it. I went to the VirtualBox website, grabbed the download from my OS, clicked through the installer, next, agree, next, finish, didn't read a single thing, which is, now that I think about it, exactly the kind of behavior that gets people into trouble, but it installed. VirtualBox opened, and I was greeted with this very empty, very blank screen that basically said, "You have no virtual machines. Create one." So, next step. Okay, VirtualBox is open. I hit New. It asks for a name. I typed Arch Linux. Then it wants the ISO file, that's the Arch installer from the last step. Located it, selected it, done. Then hardware. RAM, pushed it over 5 gigs, CPU, 4 cores. And that was it. Honestly took like 45 seconds. Hit finish, VM shows up in the list. Easy. Suspiciously easy.
But before we boot it, settings, because there are a couple of things that need fixing first. I right-clicked the VM, hit Settings, and went straight to Expert mode. First thing, Shared Clipboard. I set that to bidirectional, which just means I can copy and paste between my real computer and the virtual machine. Small thing, incredibly annoying if you forget it. RAM was already fine from setup, but video memory, that was sitting way too low. I dragged it all the way to the maximum. You don't want Arch running on basically no display memory, trust me. Then, storage, I just made sure the ISO was actually attached to the IDE controller. It was. Good. Network, NAT. Already set. That just means the VM borrows my real computer's internet connection without any extra configuration. Fine. Moving on. And honestly, everything looked good. No red flags, no weird warnings. So I closed settings, took a breath, and hit start. All right. I hit start, and the VM boots up. First thing I see is the Arch Linux boot menu. A few options on screen. I just picked the first one, standard install, nothing fancy. And then the wall of text starts. Like immediately. Just lines and lines of white text flying past, the system doing 100 things at once, most of which I do not understand. There's some stuff about hooks running, devices mounting, and then in the middle of all of it, a couple of lines that say, error. Just sitting there. Red flags, literally. I panicked for about 4 seconds before I kept reading and realized everything underneath still said okay. So I just let it go. Chose to believe it was fine. That's called troubleshooting. Then a whole new wall of text, green okay after green okay, mounting this, loading that, starting the other thing. It looked like a movie hacking scene, except I wasn't doing anything. The computer was just talking to itself. And then it stopped. Blank cursor. Blinking. Waiting. This is the Arch Linux command line. No desktop, no icons,
No mouse. Just a prompt staring back at me like, okay, your turn. What do you want to do? And I had absolutely no idea.
So I'm staring at this blinking cursor and I have absolutely no idea what to do next. I did what any reasonable person does. I Googled it on my real computer, next to the virtual machine, like a person with two lives. And the first thing I was told to do was check if the internet was working, which fair because nothing that comes next works without it. So I typed ping-c5google.com, and it worked. Little packets flying off to Google and coming back. 5 out of 5. Internet's alive. Great, we're in business. Next thing, and this is where I started feeling like I was following a recipe I didn't fully understand, I was told to run pacman-s Arch Linux keyring. Pacman is basically Arch's way of installing software. The -s just means install this thing, and Arch Linux keyring is... Okay, honestly, I looked this up and it's basically a set of security keys that verify the software you're downloading is actually from Arch and not something sketchy. It asked me something about dependencies, which are just other pieces of software that this thing needs in order to work. I said yes, it did its thing. Lines of text, downloading, verifying, installing, and then it was done. I still didn't fully know what I'd just installed, but it worked. So I kept going. So, after all that, I typed one command, arch install, and suddenly a menu appeared. An actual menu with options like a civilized piece of software. I did not expect that. Arch Linux, known for making you suffer, just gave me a menu. I was suspicious immediately. Okay, so let's go through it. Language, English, obviously. Moving on. Locales, keyboard layout, region stuff, nothing that's going to break anything. Left it alone. Mirrors and repositories. I hovered over this and genuinely did not know what I was looking at. Mirrors are basically servers around the world that host the software you're downloading. It picks the fastest one. I did not fully understand this at the time. I clicked around, felt confused, and moved on. We don't talk about this part. Disk configuration. Okay, this one actually matters. This is where you tell Arch how to use the virtual hard drive. I read enough to know I needed to partition it, which means splitting the drive into sections the system can use. I chose best effort default partition layout because I am not a person who should be making partition decisions manually. File system, ext4, that's the standard Linux format. Spacebar to select, enter to confirm. Bootloader, left it as is. Kernels, left it as is. I was getting brave, but not that brave. Host name, this is just what your computer calls itself on the network. I typed something, doesn't matter what. Authentication, set a root password. Root is basically the all-powerful admin account in Linux. I gave it a password. Felt powerful for about 2 seconds. Profile, this is where it gets interesting. Profile type I set to desktop because I wanted an actual desktop environment, not just a command line forever. Then it asked which desktop. I went with the standard option and kept moving. Pipewire, that's just the modern Linux audio system. Selected it, no notes. Network configuration. I chose Network Manager. It just handles internet automatically without me having to think about it, which at this point in the evening was exactly what I needed. Everything else left as default. And then I scrolled down to the bottom of the menu. Install. I hovered over it, took a breath, hit enter, and it started. Downloading, installing, progress bars flying, 632 megabytes worth of stuff getting pulled down and set up. For a few minutes, everything looked great. And then, red text. A lot of red text. Stuff like, failed retreating file, operation too slow, exceeded the last 10 seconds, failed to commit transaction, bork. Bork? It actually said bork, which is not a word you want to see when you're installing an operating system. What happened was the mirrors, those download servers I glossed over earlier and said we don't talk about this part. Yeah, turns out we needed to talk about that part. It was trying to pull packages from a server that was either too slow or completely unresponsive, timed out, and the whole installation just collapsed. Nothing got installed, 0 packages upgraded, the entire thing failed at the finish line. I sat there for a second, reading the errors, understanding maybe 30% of them, and feeling that specific kind of frustration where you did everything right and it still broke. But this is fixable. Annoying, but fixable. So somehow, and honestly I'm still not entirely sure how, it worked. I rebooted and Arch Linux actually loaded. No desktop yet, just a login prompt. Black screen, white text asking who I am. I typed my username, SysHack, entered my password, and got in. And then I just sat there, logged in, no idea what to do next. My first instinct was to type root, like just the word root, because I remembered setting a root password and thought that's how you become the admin or something. The terminal looked at me and said, "Command not found." Right, okay. Root is not a command. Cool, good to know. So I Googled it. Turns out what I actually needed was SU, which stands for switch user, and lets you jump into the root account. I typed SU, entered the root password, and the prompt changed. It now said root at Arch Linux. That little hash symbol at the end, that means I'm root. Full admin, the most powerful user on the system. I had absolutely no idea what to do with that power. Okay, so I'm root. I have all the power. I waited. Nothing happened. And I realized this is it. This is still the desktop. There is no desktop.
I got all the way through the installation, rebooted, logged in, and I'm still just staring at a black screen with a blinking cursor. I genuinely thought something had gone wrong again, like maybe the desktop profile I selected during setup just didn't install. Maybe the mirror errors took it down with them. So I Googled. Again, on my real computer. Again. And apparently, yes, I needed to install the desktop manually. Of course I did. This is Arch. The command was something like pacman s xorg xfce4 xfce4 goodies. Xorg is the display system, basically the thing that makes graphics work. XFCE4 is the actual desktop environment. I typed it in, hit enter, and then a giant list appeared, asking me to select which packages I wanted. There were like 40 options, numbers everywhere. I stared at it for a solid 10 seconds. Then I saw it said default all at the bottom. So I just pressed enter. I don't know what I selected. I selected all of it. Every package, the whole thing, and honestly, that felt correct. Downloading started. Progress bars. Green text, the whole show. I waited. It finished. I rebooted. And this time, a login screen. An actual graphical login screen with a mouse cursor and a password field. I cannot explain how good that felt. After 2 hours, 2 hours of errors, Googling, not understanding half of what I was doing, and just pressing enter and hoping, it worked. I'm not going to pretend I understand everything that happened. I really don't. This was genuinely just a project I decided to do at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday because YouTube told me to. And if you're a Linux user watching this right now, please be nice in the comments. I know. There's not that much actually installed here. It's basically Arch with a desktop and not much else. But it booted, it loaded, it's running, and for where I started, that feels like a win. Honestly, the whole thing taught me that Linux isn't impossible, it's just unforgiving in a way Windows never is. It assumes you know things. It will not hold your hand. But when it finally works, even on a virtual machine, even at 1 a.m., even after Bork, it feels kind of amazing. Anyway, in the next video, I'm actually going to set this up properly, installing software, making it usable, turning this into something you could actually use for entertainment. So if that sounds interesting, subscribe. I'll see you there.